Hi friends, this is Kelsey. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. I'm essentially booked on all platforms. And I'm going back to doing TBRs. So in November, I'm gonna do a TBR. I don't know if I'll do one for December because December is a weirder month with like Vlogmas. And usually I'm trying to read things that like I've missed or wanted to get to this year. So we'll see about December's TBR, but I am gonna do one in November, mainly because I have a bunch of fun content I'm working on right now that I'm excited to do. And I just kind of have a plan for November. So that's where we're gonna start with this. So first, let me get a sip of coffee. We just went to the pumpkin patch with really a pumpkin garden center with my kiddo. And it's freezing here. It's like 30 after it being kind of in the 70s and 60s for the last couple weeks. So now we're finally hitting winter. We just had a nice, long, lovely fall, but I think we're at winter. So I'm a little cold, hence the coffee and my Thanksgiving cactus is blooming, or my Christmas cactus. No, this is a Thanksgiving cactus. My mother-in-law got this for me a couple years ago. It went dormant for a while, which is not uncommon for these. And now it's blooming and it's beautiful. It bloomed right when I got it. So I'm very excited that it is blooming. They're pretty finicky and you have to be kind of careful with them. I'm gonna try to grab one that was my grandmother's that my aunt has some cuttings of. And I think those are Easter cactuses. So those are kind of fun. But anyways, let's get started with my November TBR. Let's go through some library books that I just took out today. I just picked up. First is Magnolia Parks. This has been like a TikTok romance darling, but I've heard it's kind of a toxic relationship situation. I may or may not love this, but I figured since it's being released in mass market, I think it's Berkeley Dutton has picked these up. So that's kind of exciting. And then I picked up Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I did not adore The 10,000 Doors of January, but I loved her Fractured Fables series. And this seems more kind of in the vein of that. And then I have the Once and Future Witches, but I have not read that yet. Yeah, I've heard actually really good things about this, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then I grabbed Crow Mary by Kathleen Grissom. And this is gonna be for Historathon, which is a readathon coming up. I'll link all the details below, and I'm gonna talk about some other books for that readathon here in a little bit. This is by Kathleen Grissom. She wrote The Kitchen House, which I did love years back. And so I know very little about this. I'm excited for it. It is nonfiction November. I do not believe I have any nonfiction on deck this month. Some year I will do it because I would like to participate someday. I just am not there mentally. Let's talk about Historathon. All right, so for Historathon, I am going to be reading 4 books. One will be Crow Mary. And then I went through each of the hosts, Gloria, Amanda, and Lindsay, and picked one of their prompts that I wanted to focus on, which is what they want you to do for this readathon. So for Gloria's, I picked Based on a True Story, and I will be reading The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan. This comes out in December, and I have a NetGalley of it. It's about a midwife in rural Maine, and from my understanding, the little that I know about it is that she has like an insane number of births and no deaths as a result of any of those births. Like her statistics and her safety skills are like unheard of, and it's based on a true midwife. So that's what that's based off of. And then Amanda has 3 words in the title. And so I went through my book of the month books to see if I had any historical fiction that fit that. And I have Queen of Thieves by B.Z. Marsh. And this is like a female Peaky Blinders series set in London. And there is a second book coming out that I am also approved for on NetGalley. So I was like, probably should read this. And then for Lindsay, it was a favorite author, and Kristen Hanna is one of my favorite historical fiction authors, and she has a new book coming out called The Women, and I believe it comes out in February of next year. I also have an arc of that on NetGalley, so those will be the 3 historical fiction books I would like to tackle in this readathon along with Crow Mary, and that seems really doable. So then I am trying to finish some books that I've started earlier in the year, but just like sat down for whatever reason. And one of those is This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger. I really liked this book, and I started reading it when I was up on the North Shores of Minnesota. He's a Minnesotan author, but I just never finished it. Other books came in and I had to set this down. So I want to finish this month. Okay. And then for books that are review copies, I happen to have both of these on NetGalley too, but the publishers also sent me physical copies. The first one I have is Good Taste, and this comes out on November 7th, I believe, if it's that Tuesday, 6th or 7th, the 7th, Selection Day. This is a book about a food writer, I think, or biography, who starts to travel around England to find like the perfect English dish. And this has been comped to the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society, which basically is one of my favorite books of all time. So that piqued my interest. This was sent to me by the publisher, which is William Morrow, and I'm excited for that. And then also out on the 7th is The Future by Naomi Alderman. She wrote The Power, which is like, I got it as a book of the month and I just haven't gotten to it yet. But this is her sophomore novel, and it's a dazzling tour de force where a handful of friends plot a daring heist to save the world from the tech giants whose greed threatens life as we know it. And I've heard this hyped in quite a few places, but I'm hearing mediocre reviews, so there's that. Since I've never read her before, that might help me, because if things are too hyped and I've read the author before, I tend to not love their sophomore books. Since I have no experience with this author, who knows? So those are my 2 like ARC books I want to read this month. I'm in 3 book clubs. So I'm in an In Real Life one with women from my church, and we are going to be reading Love and Saffron by Kim Fay. This is an epistolary novel, a novel of friendship, food, and love. And it's super short, but we were just looking, we've read some pretty heavy books lately. So we were like looking for lighter palate cleansers. And this is that. Modern Mrs. Darcy, I think they're reading Lillian Boxfish Takes a Walk, which I may or may not read. I don't even know if that's the proper title. And then my In Real Life book club, we are just going to do a bring your own book to book club week. So we just decided that was a better thing for just the season that some of us were in. And then finally, as you know, one of my goals this year was to read all the Lord of the Rings, and I'm behind. So I'm hoping to read The Two Towers, and I'm going to read it physically just to consume it in that medium. Oh wait, I forgot. So my friend Marty is doing this Sarah J. Maas read along. So she's reading all of the books up until the Crescent City book 3 release date, which is in January. So every book by Sarah J. Maas. Right now we're working through Throne of Glass, and I read Throne of Glass for Spookopoly. So I think I need to read Assassin's Blade, which is novellas. I'm reading it in a little bit of a different order than the group is doing it, so I will catch up with them after book 3. But so I have essentially 3 books to read in November. It's Assassin's Blade, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. So those are ones that I need to peel the stickers off. I hate when publishers do that, or whatever stores. So I got to read those. But then for some content I have that I may or may not get this up in November, but there's projects I am working on right now. One project is an aardvark book box, which they sent me super kindly. So I'm not going to show the books in here. You'll find out when I get to this video. It matches my plant. They just kindly reached out to me and sent me a box. So I figured I'd read these books. They were ones that they hand selected. And I will say at first glance, I wasn't excited for any of them. So we'll see how that goes. And then I also have a video I'm working on where a random number generator picked the books off my shelf to read. And funny enough, they kind of match my Historathon reading because like all of them are historical in some way, shape, or form. So those are the videos I have planned or I'm working on. And then those are all the books I would like to read in November. If there's any you've read, let me know in the comments and let me know what you thought about them. I would like to know what's a book you're really hoping to get to in November. Drop that in the comments. And until the next video, you guys, I'm so thankful for you. Thanks for sticking around and watching me ramble about books on the internet.